Hello everyone, my name is Kurazar, and welcome back to the Vintage Story Guide. We are back in the world before the last build that we left off on, with many improvements, one of which I see I missed again. Oh my goodness, don't look at it, just don't look at it. Anyway, as I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted, yes, we are here in front of the winery, which we used last time as a bit of a bakery, where we made some bread and some pies. And as you can see, it's been a few days since we last spoke. I have eaten all those pies, and I am back onto my usual stew and bowls here. And you're going to find that I tend to do that, mainly because while pies do last 8 days in your inventory, they're kind of harder to secure and save long term, because even in a vessel in a proper cellar, they really only last like, 30 days or so? So I prefer crocks that can be sealed, and I can just spend like a couple days doing nothing but food for a while and then just not worry about it for half a year or a year. But yes, between episodes, I did come in and fix this doorway that I totally didn't forget, just like I didn't forget to finish up this window here. And actually, these two need a little bit of brickwork right here in the corners, but that's a story for later, I think. But today, as promised, I want to build a Cliffside bakery. And I have spent quite some time in creative, tinkering with some ideas, and I've decided that right up here is indeed the place for the bakery. I have found that it's not going to overshadow the winery, because it's going to be behind it, and because it's sort of so far up that even if you're down here, it was sort of like, oh, there's something up there, but it doesn't look like it's, overtaking the area. So I was pretty happy with the result, and we're going to do that today. But first, I have a couple new mods added to the playthrough. They're mostly just for fun. Well, one's for fun, one is more practical. One of them is the More Emotes mod. I think it's called More Emotes. And it adds a whole bunch of different emotes you can do, from polite bows to all kinds of silly things like, let's see, aggressive. We can bring it on. That's right. I'll take you on any day of the week. Anyway, cool little mod. I'm mostly going to be using it for getting fun little poses in screenshots and so on. The other mod I installed is called Bare Bones, and it is by our very own Salieri, who heard my complaints about the bear armor fixes, or bear armor repair recipe, and decided to do me a solid, to do us all a solid, and did something about it. So we're going to go and try out this new bear armor repair recipe. I'm not sure I need 2 stacks of this, but you know what? I'll bring it. And yes, you'll see it is now slowly defrosting around here. It's still not quite warm enough at night for planting most crops, so I'm just going to hold off for a couple more days, and I'll get them all on the ground at once, probably during this episode. So let's go and get us some bones. Just grab a stack of these guys. I think the bear armor is up here somewhere. Somewhere. I've lost the bear armor. Don't know where it is. Ah, there it is. Oh my goodness. What an adventure that was. So the general gist of Salieri's Bare Bones mod is that it removes the requirement for a bear pelt for repairing the bear armor, and replaces it with a combination of rope and bones. So that's... okay, that's quite a bit of durability there, okay. Wow, that is a lot of durability. What does this do? Whoa, that's... wow, holy cow. Oh, but that used up, like, a lot of rope and bones. Okay. That's pretty fair. That's pretty fair, I think. I am pretty happy with that. And we can fully repair this. Interesting. Get this 100. So 100 per coil of rope. And it seems like the different armor parts require different amounts of repair items. But I'm pretty happy with that. I feel like that's fair, because the bear armor repair recipe was really unfair before. Let's go ahead and we'll repair up our current armor as well, so we need some more rope for that. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. Now this is not the only mod that Salieri made. They also made a mod called Mortar, spelled M-O-A-R-T-A-R, to restore the pre-1.22 mortar recipes, as well as one called, I like this one, Die Hard, that changes the amount of dye required for leather. The requirement is quite high compared to dyeing cloth, and cloth is usually a 1-to-1 dye recipe, but leather requires 5 dye per piece of leather. So this changes the leather to match the cloth recipes. Now, I didn't install either of these mods. I might in the future. Depends on if I feel like I need to spend less time grinding away at everything this game has to offer, which means I probably will install it at some point. Now, before we get to the meat of today's episode, I did want to address something that I've been meaning to do for a while. Is I wanted to actually plant fruit trees around the winery, and I completely forgot to. I took the screenshot for the thumbnail in creative mode with the fruit trees, and I never actually planted the real ones in survival. So we're going to do that right now. Now these won't all grow, of course, but this is just to sort of get the process started, because we planted our fruit trees quite late in the year last year, which means they didn't get a chance to start to grow, which then means that they didn't get a chance to vernalize. So none of our fruit trees, no matter how large they might grow this year, if they grow at all, we will get 0 fruit from them. And so at least this year, we're going to have to go back and harvest the fruit from the wild trees. But I have been busily prepping for today's episode. One is I did spend some more time moving a few odds and ends back to or into the new storehouse. And I've also been prepping by gathering supplies for today's build. We had down here, and I say had because I've already cleared it out, we had another red clay deposit. It wasn't very big, but as I was clearing it out, it revealed that the rock at the surface of the world here was very close to the top of the world, and it made for an easy opportunity for accessing some chert, which I want to use in today's build. So I went ahead and started a little quarry here, and I meant to bring over a gate to add here, and I just forgot to just now. Oh well. But yeah, so I've been getting some chert from this quarry. It's not a huge quarry, but it will suffice for the chert we need for today, and probably for a little while. I've already gotten maybe twice the chert that I think I need for today. But we all know how my material estimates go for builds, so maybe we'll be back here today. And maybe in the future we will come in and build like a little quarry house or quarry office, kind of similar to how we did it for the first season of the guide back when we moved to the south. In the morning we are going to take a trek, my goodness, up to the top of yon cliff, hopefully when there are fewer rifts around, and we're going to just survey the area and talk about how we're going to approach this build. Because this is going to be a challenging build. Even though I've already sketched it out in creative a little bit, I didn't really go the whole way with it. I didn't want to build too much of it and then feel like I had already completed it, so I kind of just sort of roughed it in. But building up on a high ridge like that can be tricky, so we're going to talk about how I think I can manage that and make it look good. And then later on the episode, we'll find out if I succeed or not. Anyway, I'm going to go and wait out this riftiness and prep some more ladders and things for the job, and I'll see you all up there in the morning. Well, look what waiting for relativity to go back to calm got us into this time. That's right, we're back in a temporal storm. I think this is a good opportunity to remind you that if you are enjoying my content, please don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. Doing all those things really helps me and the channel out, and helps me keep the channel sponsor-free, and pumping out more fun videos to share with all of you. Anyway, I'm going to get down to business here and see if there are any double-headed drifters I can gently carve up into small pieces to use in future translocator fixes, as well as Jonas devices. Alright folks, with that ugly business over, it is time for us to ascend yon peak. Oh, partway I guess. And I have here a chest full of goodies. And to get there, while we could certainly ascend over here and walk across. I think for now we're going to just build a ladder up the cliff face here. Maybe even right over there, just so it's a little out of the way of our work area. Oh, and it's perfectly straight up and down too. Let's do it. Okay, so here is our access up and down. Ooh, that's spooky. I'm just going to put a little marker there so I know where the ladder is just about. And you know, I might just make this a little bit safer, a little easier to traverse as we make our way over here. And yes, this is where I want to build our little bakery. And what I kind of imagine is that we'd have a road that runs along here, and that this would be like a rest stop. Not necessarily all that far from, you know, civilization, but I don't know, maybe like as travelers from over there make their way over here, this is like the first bit of civilizations they hit as they're nearing our fair little village here. And so this is like where they could stop, like get their last breath. You know, if you're on vacation and you drive 8 of the 9 hours and you're like, you know what, let's get a hotel and just bunker down for the night. This is kind of where you might do that. Now, since I'm envisioning a bit of a road, why don't we start with that? Let's open with that and get the road going on. We'll just do a little sliver of it, or a little tiny stretch of it. I want the road to be about 3 blocks wide, because that would make sense to have a, I guess, at least 3 meter wide road for things like wagons and other kinds of things. You know, having 2 oxen side by side might even require more like 4 meters, but you know. And then we'll build some extra ledge here out of granite ashlar to give just sort of a little bit of a buffer, a little bit of a wall. And it might not even be that safe. It might be like just a flat rock surface or flat ashlar surface, maybe with some like low crenellations. We're going to start with this, and then we're going to replace all of this with some gravel and kind of see where we're at once we get that done. And there we go, we have a bit of a path started here. Like I said, I want it to be 3 blocks wide, so I think in the long run, I will come back in with a pickaxe, and maybe not today, but maybe later I'll start sort of digging into the wall here, and just sort of making it so that this is a little bit carved away, so that we don't end up falling off, and also for the future, you know, width of the road. I'm going to do a bit of cleanup, like getting some of these extra blocks here out and replacing them with path, and sort of upcycling the stones and the dirt that we have here into that purpose. So I'll see you all when I'm done with that. Alright, we're back at it after an apocalyptic night, but I'm going to come in here and just as an example, I'm going to show what we're going to do with the granite ashlar. Just going to line all the areas here. And this will also give us a base, like a starting point for today's build. Could have used like a couple more pieces, but oh well. Now, as for the build palette today, I want to use chert, like I mentioned earlier, but I thought it'd be nice to have some corners or some coins made of some chert ashlar, and then parts of some walls, maybe with some chert cobblestone. For a lighter color, I thought that some banding made out of light mud brick would look nice. And then for things like wood supports and beams and things, some debarked pine logs, as well as some pine slabs for things like trim. Now, for the main walls, initially I was thinking of going and getting some clay stone and quarrying that out through our translocator over yonder. If you had x-ray vision, you could see it. But that was going to take quite some time, and I found that there's another block that looks almost exactly like claystone. And that is, my friends, golden brown wattle and daub. This is almost the exact same color as claystone, and it has a bit of a more variable texture, and we can of course vary it by adding less daub than we have here. This is a fully daubed up block. But I think this will look nice in conjunction with all of these. And if you saw the Guide Season 2 episode on color theory, then you would realize that I am using sort of the one side of the color wheel type of design. We have some red and some orange, and a little bit more orangey red here, little bit of yellow worked into these, and there's even some yellow in some of the pine here. And that is the general feel for the colors that I'm selecting here. And then finally for roof, yep, that's right, good old slate cobblestone. The same as the barn. I was trying to figure out a way to make some fire clay shingles fit here, because we have a surplus of fire clay now. Don't ask. But I just couldn't fit it in with the rest of these colors without severely compromising some of the other choices I had. So these are the overall colors. I will leave this up for a little while so that we can refer back to it when we're trying to figure out what color to use next and where things should go. But I'm going to go ahead and start getting all of the materials we need prepared. We need to debark some logs and make some cobblestone and some ashlar. And then we're going to get down to it. And I'm going to start by sort of framing out the basic shapes of the build here. We had a question during our last build of the storehouse of how do you sort of start a build with the shapes and getting them to look right. And so we're going to get into a bit of that today. And the truth of the matter is really just sort of fiddly-fuddlying with it until it looks good. And I think I've got that down in creative mode, so here I can build it and talk about it at the same time. So I passed more time than I thought I was going to, but I had to go and smith another chisel, because ours just about is dead here. And we're going to start here by dropping down a little. A very OSHA-approved method here. And we're just going to make a load-bearing dirt scaffolding down here, just to make sure that if we fall, and we will, that we don't break our little legs so hard that they send our ankles through our brain. Okay, and with that all said and done, I want to get some of the sort of initial supporting beams in here. Start this here. I'm going to go, I think, maybe 3 blocks in between. We can do something a bit like this. That's not too bad. I could almost do to move it to the, was this the north by like 1 block? Just so that this isn't directly under here, but I guess it doesn't really matter that much because it'll be sticking up pretty far anyway. Farther than I can actually reach from down here, but that's okay. Just go ahead and get these in as far as I can. And then bring these out. See, these are all, what, 4 blocks out. Let's go another 1 and 2, just for good luck. Okay, and so from here, we're going to do a bit of roughing in of the general shape. And what I'm going to do here is we're just going to start with a few basic shapes. We're going to do a couple squares, or rectangles, a circle, and then kind of fill in the rest over here with maybe like either another square or a little like triangle piece that kind of meets up here somewhere. And I do want it so that it shouldn't like clobber this road. I don't want it to be looming over the road. It should be tight, but I want it to feel like you're walking next to the bakery and not through it when you walk through here. I think we will try putting our first blocks like right here. So a 3-block interior would be like 1, 2, 3, like that. Maybe 1, 2, 3. No, we gotta go out 1 more block for that. But then right up here on the corner, I want to have a bit of this. We're just going to rough in with that a little bit here. I'm going to try to do a little roughing in with what I think are the final materials, just because it's a real pain to try to collect these if they fall down there, and I don't want to have to do a whole lot of that. I will have to, just don't want to. Alright, and now that we have our shapes in place, as you can see, we have our 2 rectangles or squares. This is more square. Got a rectangle, got a circle, and we have a kind of remainder tangle. I'm going to go ahead and add in the floors here. Now I'm going to be doing 2 main things. One, on the interior, I want to have some pine floors. I think these colors will go spectacularly together. But for the exterior, I don't think wood makes sense. I want to get some more clay, and we're going to get some of these church stones, and we're going to make some slabs out of all this. We're going to come in here with these guys, and we're going to just pave over all of this. Now you'll notice that these slabs hang over the, quote, supporting structures here, these supports. So what we'll do is we're going to come back in a moment here. We're going to pick an unsuspecting victim, and we're going to add some apparent support underneath. Just with chiseling and nothing too fancy because, again, who's going to see it? Well, someone down there might. If they look up with some binoculars, they might see it. And so I think it's kind of worth just making sure we have that I dotted and T crossed, just so it looks right from below and doesn't look like anything is hanging. Now I'm also going to floor the interior of the tower with stone, I think just because I want to have multiple floors here, and the floors above this will be made of wood, but I thought that having a base floor of stone was probably just a nice change from having the pine here. And we're going to dig up one of these, just like you, I think. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy and chisel him. I'm going to 8x8x8 mode, pop one of these in here, and we're going to add this underneath. That's it. That is literally it. Oh, this is now a stone slab, apparently. Okay. And then we're going to pop this guy back in here. And with the pantograph, I'm going to copy, go into paste shape materials, and just do that. We'll do it for all of these here. And then over here, we're going to do the opposite. In fact, I might even get a little fancier with it. We're going to do something a bit like this. Let's pop this guy down here. And then we're going to bring in some of the pine slabs again. We'll do that. Okay. And what we're going to do is the whole way across here then, we're going to have these guys running. So I'm going to do a copy of this guy and do this the whole way down here. And that way from beneath, if I can get a reasonable view, let's zoom out. I might even flip those. Oh, that grain goes the wrong direction. Well, that's a problem, but not from a distance, I think. I might flip those around though, and we'll just do a bit of this. We'll just mirror these. So it's really hard to see which ones I have mirrored and haven't mirrored here. Did I get them all? I missed one. Okay. You. Okay. And then, anyway, we're just going to go ahead and recopy and re-chisel all these guys. And that way, from down here, we have some kind of support running across the whole way here. Now, from up here, it looks kind of dumb because of this really bad, this really unfortunate texture direction. But if we go into bird's eye mode and we look from below, you can kind of see that it just blurs together. We won't really see it from the ground. So now, as you can see, we have our square, we have a rectangle, we have our circle, and we have the rest of it. And this is, simply put, just a very simple way of varying your build so that you don't end up with a sort of awkward feeling block that just looks very plain. I'm actually going to replace these guys here, I think, with some more of the wood. There we go. Okay. So now we have this interesting and awkward shape, which I think is just perfect. And we're going to do a corner like that. And from here, we're going to go ahead and start working on just building up the walls and all the other things until it starts looking like a bit of a building. And there we have some very basic, kind of shoddy looking walls. I'm going to make another batch of the raw daub at some point, and we'll be able to use that to patch this up. But I do want to start with these being in this damaged state so we can pick and choose which ones we update to the more like full block state, where they look nice and smoothed out. I think it's time here for a few doors and windows and things. Well, not windows so much, but doors and trapdoors. Let's see. So we have a double door here. I'll start with this from the inside. There we go. We're going to do these sort of flappy little doors here. So I think what we'll do is we are going to put something up here. Let's do the cobblestone. Let's make for a decent second layer, although this should just be more ashlar. And then that way we can have a little set of trapdoors that we can open and close to serve our customers. Now I'm going to put these here and close them like this. This will technically preclude us from being able to put anything on here like a countertop, but I think as far as being able to serve customers, but also close up the building again, this should work pretty darn well. Yeah, right here we're going to do something a little different with the build just because it's a bit of an awkward spot. We're going to put that there. We'll put a couple more pieces of this wattle and daub in here. Going to do this. And these will serve primarily to allow this area to seal as a room once we're done with it. For now, of course, no roof, no seal. So here, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do them from this side this time. And I'll mostly leave these open. There's really no reason to close them. And then right here, we'll have our last door. Just like that. But I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of this layer of design here. Maybe bump it up to the 4th block here, where we're going to start our 2nd floor. But I think tomorrow we're going to take a break from up here. We're going to head down to the Stone Age house over there, and we're going to plant those fields because it should be warm enough even for onions to last through the night. So I'm going to get working on this, and I'll see all of you in just a little bit. Alright, good morning folks, as we stand here overlooking our farm and random vat of pink dye. Don't mind that. I have gathered here the crops that I think I want to plant at the start of this year. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up real quick, and then we'll talk about what we're going to plant in this, our 3rd year of survival in our Vintage Story world. Oh, and our trees grew too. Oh, nice. That's great. More chores for me in between episodes. So as far as our crop fields are going, I am seeing that we did plant some potassium crops up here. But as we get farther down this way, I think this had nitrogen crops in it previously. This, I don't know, must have been fallow perhaps. But it looks like all the way down here, we can plant our potassium crops up to about here. And the same for a few odds and ends patches here, but I think I want to try to do like K, P, and N this year, just to sort of start getting everything a little more aligned, a little more sensibly distributed. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start with the flax over here. And we're going to do, I guess, 6 rows of flax. Yep, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All the way down to here. And then starting in here, we're going to do the pea crops. I only have a few. I have some parsnip and some onion seeds. So we need to get these going. And they aren't going to fill the entire area, but that's okay. Well, let's, excuse me, get this planted. And I think that should be good enough for today. I didn't plant any spelt because we have a boatload of spelt still sitting in one of our vessels. And so all this is rye. And I think we'll mostly focus on using the grains to make things like porridge, as well as bread for traders. Of course, I'm planting as many cabbage as I can get my little paws on, or out of my paws. We have the onions and the parsnips, of course. And then all of the K is devoted to flax. Now, why did I skip carrots this time around? Well, we already have a ton, and it turns out the rabbits will eat parsnips as well. So I figure making enough parsnips here to feed the rabbits is not an issue, and then we can eat onions. And the onions will also be useful for turning into yellow and orange dye, which I kind of want to get into this year. All right, let's get back up onto the ridge, and let's get back to work on our bakery. How's it look from over here? Nearly invisible, but I can see it sticking out. Oh, that's going to be looking cool when it's done. All right, let's get back to work. What I want to do over here is that the floor outside here, the floor up here will be made out of cobblestone. Once again, it's going to be because this area will be outdoors. Just like so. Then I think for the intervening area, like where the door threshold is, we'll just do a solid line so we don't end up with like one block of pine or something else right there. But the second floor interior here is going to be made out of pine. And then we're going to need to figure out a way of getting between the floors. Now I have fought with different designs from split level staircases to just ladders to all kinds of things in between. And I think I would like to do something a little fancy with stairs. And that may require removing this window here. If so, that's okay. We'll put one more floor up. And so I think we're going to get into chiseling some spiral staircases. I haven't done that before, so I think it'll be an interesting adventure. Now, ideally, the staircase would start like here. We could go up like this. I don't think it might just clear the door. Okay. Okay. That's a possibility. It certainly wouldn't clear this window, although it would if we did something like this. At least it wouldn't obstruct the window, and we could actually peer out from here. That could be nice, too. We'll start from this side and see how I like it. And if we don't like it, then I'll just swap sides. So here are the stairs, and I do think I actually like this little spiral here. So we're going to bring it up here, come right up against the window. I think it's fine. We will smooth these out a little bit. I'll put like a little bit of a extra block like right here and chisel it down. I might even get into knocking out some of this here and chiseling the stairs into that as well. That would also include chiseling some of these down so they're more manageable size. And from here, once again, we're going to just raise some walls. So I'm going to bring in these in the corners over here like this. And this wall here gets to be a bit taller now. So we're going to actually, we'll put these guys in here like this. And I think I might do that down here too. To match that side. So we'll go ahead and do some of that. Much better. I think that fits a lot better than having the church down there. But now I need more of this. I might get a bit fancy here and do something a little bit different to try to kind of restore the tower shape. Or I could just do the same thing right here, because right here we're going to be able to walk to our chambers up here, our room. This is fine. And then this way we can have a bit of a landing like this. So just a bit like that. And then we can start our next staircase. Is it there? No, it's one up. So right there, basically. And kind of do the exact same thing over here as we did the first time. And that will bring us then up to the next floor right at this level. And I think that should be perfect for the next part. Alright, and there at 2 in the morning we have our floor plan fully fleshed out here. And as you can see, it's very roughed in. It is all very blocky at the moment. Even these spiral stairs are interesting, shall we say. But we will smooth those out in a bit. For now, I want to get to some other odds and ends. We have a roof to work on here. But then you're going to wonder why I would bother flooring this in. Why are we coming up here? Well, right up here is where I want to start in the next episode, building out the rest of the tower. We're going to stop here for this one. And we're going to build the rest of a tower that goes probably one more floor up. and then we'll have a conical roof on it, and that will house our windmill. That's going to connect to a shaft that comes down here, and we're going to have to probably dig out some of the middle of this, because it's going to come down straight in the middle here. It's going to go into that rock wall, and it is in there, it is in here, or in there, that I want to build our cellar. It'll be where power comes in. We can apply it to a quern inside there and have it automatically grind away in a location that is already in a cellar so that our grain and our flour doesn't spoil. But for now, since that is going to be next episode, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put a roof on right here. This will become a little bit of an attic. And then we're also going to get down and we're going to get some windows in. We're going to start getting some of the functional bits in, and we'll start dressing up the place. Guys, look. A unicorn. Alright folks, it is time to get our roof in here, and for that purpose I brought along some slabs. Now what I'm going to do is I want to make a pointy roof here, because a 45-degree angled roof just wouldn't be very visible from anywhere but up here on the ridge. So we're going to do a 2-to-1 roof, so we'll go up at a much steeper angle. We're going to do it kind of like the bottom part of the barn roof, which is also very steep, in that we will have apparently no more dirt left, so we're going to just fake it with some wood here. And we're going to pretend that we have more dirt. Oh, I do have more dirt. That's a little better. So we're going to have a roof that is about like this. And although it's not going to be that visible, I do think this is still going to look a little too blocky for my tastes. So kind of like on the barn, but maybe even a little more than the barn, we're going to shave this down to a different profile to make it look a little better. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get, of course, my hammer out and the chisel, but also the hand planer, because it can be easier to work on a block to chisel a profile if you're just chiseling like one little voxel. One more, just like that. And you can get out of the way. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first chunk out like these two, a bit like that. And then I'm going to come in here and just in the single mode, I think I want to just kind of try to figure out what I could do to make this feel a bit more shingly. Maybe something like that would be appropriate. So I think this is pretty good. Let's go ahead and we're going to pull this out. Not quite like that. Let's do island mode. Bring our scaffold back up. We're going to pop this guy back in like that. And I guess I could have just put him anywhere because we need to then copy and paste him. And then we're going to use the wedge to push this back. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is the profile we're looking at here. I think this is about bumpy enough to sort of evoke a shingled appearance, especially from a distance. Or way down here. Yeah, looks great. So these are pretty good. I'm going to save these in the pantograph. And this is a feature of the pantograph. So I'm going to copy this with left click to copy. And I'm going to press P for pantograph. And now we have done this before a little bit with the vineyard fence, but just as a reminder, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to save it like this. We're going to say 221, and do not use colons in your save files here, your save names here. 221 roof lower, save shape, and then we're going to do you, and we're going to save you as 2-1 roof upper. And now we can go ahead and just take these guys. I'm going to put you down there. Going to put you there. There we go. A little bit of overhang. And then this guy's going to go on top. And that will lead up to a fairly thin roof ridge here. And I think it should look pretty good. And we're just going to bring this back like so. And we'll do the same thing over on this side, just to get this started here. So there. And I will have one on every level that just overhangs by one. Nope, not like that. It's this face, Corzar. It's this face. There we go. And there. And the same thing over here, if I can. And so, I'm going to do that the whole way up, alternating the sides of the blocks these are going on. And then when we're done, we'll have a roof. And oh boy, that is a drop. I think I need a full stomach to deal with this. Alright, there she is. Kind of hard to tell without the fog and the evening light, but I think it works out pretty well. And then the last touch up here for the time being is going to be, we are going to fill in this guy here, but rather than being tall, we can make the window a little wide. We'll just fill in with the golden brown wattle and daub, and then fill in the rest here, and we'll need the ashlar blocks there. And what we'll do here is we're going to then chisel in some more of the wattle and daub into each of these under the roof here, and that way it'll fill everything in. And then what we can do is we can come in on the other side over this way. We'll come in here and we'll put in some more of the slabs right under these chiseled slab roof blocks, and we'll rotate them upside down so that they create an opposite angle that follows the roof line. So we don't get these sort of jaggies right here. It'll be a nice smooth roof. And take our ladder down, take a step back without falling off this time. And there we go. I think it's pretty nice. And as you can see, once again, we are quite flat. This is very flat. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start with the usual. I'm going to cut this back by about a half block. That's a pretty good start. And then these ledges, I kind of actually like them. I was thinking of taking them out. What I might do here, though, is I might turn these into something a bit like this, I want to say, just to give it some more visual interest. And so we'll do this design all the way around the build here. But then doorways and windows are going to get some more slate cobblestone slab added to them. And we'll do some of what we did the first time down on the winery. So go ahead and we're going to do probably 2x here. Oops, wrong material. I don't think we need quite as much of it as we needed of the cobblestone down in the winery. But we'll do a similar design to down there, just like this. And the same will go over the windows, and that should be good. The interior, I guess we can do the same kind of thing in here. We're going to need I don't have the paintbrush option, the paint mode option, so we're going to just do this by hand here. A bit like that. And it probably makes sense to... Yeah, it probably makes sense to actually take out all of this in here and make this also be made of cobblestone. Something a bit like this. And I will do that for basically all of the doors. Now the interior doors and walls are going to stay, I think, a full block thick. Otherwise you end up with really funky ways the doors swing and they kind of swing out. It also precludes being able to hang things like torch holders on them. So this will just get similar treatment to this, but not quite the same. And then for the exterior, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to shrink down all of the wattle and daub to half blocks. And for the windows here, I'll show you what I'm going to do for these guys. We'll go into the paste shape only and pop this in here. Then we can flip this around like that. Oops, I'll do this and that, and then flip to mirror it. And then here, I think I'll probably dig into this a little bit to do the same kind of thing as above. And I guess we probably don't need as much of a lintel as we do over the door, because the door has to be able to swing open and closed, whereas the windows do not. So I think I'm good with having that just be square there. But speaking of square, we are going to need to chisel this guy. Let's pop this in here. And there we go. We now have a framed out window. I think it's pretty nice. All right, so you know the drill. I'm going to get to it, and I'll see you all back when I am done. You know, guys, I'm having a slight change of heart. But Corazar, you don't have a heart. Yeah, I know. But what I'm thinking is, we're going to put a pathway up here that connects to the wall. That will give a bit of an overhang / some kind of rain, roof over here. What if we move our service window away from here? Because it doesn't make sense that the service window would be right in front of the ovens. You'd be sweating your butt off. And you'd also be sort of probably bumping butts with whoever is trying to put pies and things in the ovens. So what if we moved these guys over to here and made this our service window? And then we'll just swap the wall that's over here with these doors, and it should be hunky-dory. Alright folks, so I'm down here in the storehouse. I've just loaded up on some wood blocks and some slate. Way more than I need, but whatever. I've also got some copper nails and strips for making certain things. And I brought with me the pantograph because I want to make some railings, but I also don't want to have to spend a lot of time doing it. So I think we're going to get into reusing some railing designs. And so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and going to snap you. And we're going to save this as, say, storehouse, rail, straight. And we'll save this one as storehouse, rail, diag. I think we have a third one we have to get from the other side. It's going to be the little tiny slivery bit right here. Okay. Don't like that too much, but what can you do? Now you'll see I already have a bunch of these 2-to-1 roof uppers and tops and tips and things. I actually went and I copied these from my folder in Desert Life over to the folder in the guide series. So I'm bringing these along for easy use, and that's a great way to be able to reuse some of your own designs. And I think we'll get into even more of that here in just a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to chisel this guy. I gotta get my chisel and hammer and things. Okay, tools acquired. So we're going to chisel this guy. We're going to bring up 1-to-1 slope. And we are going to paste shape only. There we go. And then we're going to use the chisel to just chunk this down to a little diagonal, just like that. Now what I want to do here for all of these sort of oddball corners is we are going to chisel these columns right here. And this will make them, I believe, no longer seal. Insulating block face. Okay, maybe not. Maybe this is just fine. And I will chisel the undersides as well, just for consistency. We're going to add in the pine like this. And like that. Now this bottom step is going to be a little bit different because it is flat against the wall there. But for this one, we're going to choose this level here. Gonna add this in like that. And we'll do that. So then there's the matter of the railing. And here's where I want to use the slate rock, as well as the railing from down in the storehouse to some extent. We are going to have to modify it pretty heavily for use on a slope. And I want to put down one of these guys. We're going to add in some of this. And here's where we can get really fancy with the pantograph, is we can paste shape only. We're going to go into this. We're going to grab the storehouse rail straight, and you'll see it has a preview of how your final product will look once you actually put it in the world. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do boop, like that. We're going to go ahead and give this a spin. Wrong way. There we go. We now have the start of a railing. I'm going to try to use this same design to make the sloped rail for the rest of the stairs here, and we'll see how it comes out. And with the power of editing, we have a spiral staircase with a railing that actually keeps us mostly locked into the staircase and is not too jaggy for us to walk up and down. It isn't too bad, but the process of getting here was indeed bad. I don't recommend doing spiral staircases like this, ever. I have a few last things to attend to. I think the first thing is I want to probably replace these blocks in the edge with some ashlar. I think that feels more appropriate. Like you'd have, the blocks that can interlock would be on the edge where they can actually, interlock. Okay, there we go. And then I want to come in here with some kind of fence or gate. And I was thinking, why not recycle something we've already made so we don't have to build it again? So I'm going to actually pull the fences from down there, and we're going to build them up here. Now, I do want to figure out, maybe those were, 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks wide. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could do 3s. 1, 2, 3. And leave that a little open. Yeah, that should work. That should be okay. Remove this. We're going to pop this guy in here. And then we're going to go and we're going to place down these guys here. 2, 3. And then I think right here what we'll do is we'll just do like 1. And then back to the pantograph. We're going to chisel at least one of these. Oh, there we go, pantograph. And then we can bring up the vineyard fence bottom. This is the straight one, looks like. And there we go. Just do all of these. But we're going to get the tops in here. Let's see, fence top. There we go. And maybe we'll even make these wall blocks or wall sections just 1 block higher to give it some interest. Or perhaps we could cap them with something. I do have some more chert ashlar slabs. Yeah, they're pretty cute. I say we keep it. All right, so here we're going to get out the hand planer again, and right here I'm just going to pull this out like that. The next thing I want to do is I do want to put a little bit of a barrier between like people walking here and our diners. So I'm going to build a little bit of a granite dry stone wall, and I'm just going to plop them like here. We're not going to do like a whole complete solid wall. It's more so that like people know where not to like bump elbows by accident. So we'll do a little bit like that, and maybe we'll do something like that, and maybe just like here. Oh, need like 1 more. There we go, 1 more to go right there. And that way, like, people who are eating here can kind of come and go. But if you're driving a wagon here, you're not going to accidentally run over someone who's trying to, you know, eat their croissant. And then I have something pretty cool and new to version 1.22. I'm going to make some pine boards. As I recall, the recipe goes something a bit like this. Yes. Oh, there's cabinets of multiple kinds. How do I get this one? Aha. So I want to make a few cabinets here. And we're going to go and we're going to hang these up in here. I think a few over here would be perfect. Definitely no burned pies here. Nope, I would never do that. Oh, at least 1 like here. Maybe we make one of those other ones. Looks like we could do something like this. Yes, here we go. So we now have, boop, that. So this could be like for bowls and plates and things, or pie. I think pies can go here too. Can pies go here? A block is in the way. Sag. But I know bowls can stack there. And we got like 1 more. Maybe we take out like this guy and replace him with this shelf. And then down here, we can instead put a chest. I'm not sure what's going to go in this chest, but stuff. Just for different varied kinds of storage. I do want to get a little bit of a chiseled thing going here. So I brought along some fire clay bricks. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We might want a 5th one right there, but we can deal with that in a minute. So can I still walk here? I can walk here okay. Just going to swap over to this mode. Going to break out a whole bunch of these guys here. Yeah, you know what? I feel like we do need to make another block here. That's fine. And there we go. Now this guy, this is not the quern's final location. For now, let's put it somewhere less obtrusive. And actually, even right here is better at the moment. That way we can squeeze back here, do what we need to, and this will eventually live up in the cellar. Now, the last thing I want to do here is, I was recently in one of my older worlds. Those of you who remember the guide season 1, you will know what I'm about to do here, possibly. And I wanted to make some fancy new chairs. And we're going to make them out of pine. I also want to make some tables. Make those out of some birch here. So we're going to put a table for our diners. Say, let's do one here. And then we'll do one here. And then maybe one right space, I guess right here then. Yeah, there we go. So we have one that's sort of scooted out and has 4 chairs around it. We'll have this one here that has 3, and this one might just have 2. And then we're going to bring in the pantograph, and we're going to chisel one of these guys. And I guess we're going to need to chisel a bunch of them. Actually, all of them. So we need to actually add in some chert to these guys and some pine into the birch here. And once everything's been added, now we're going to open up the pantograph menu. And I have pulled in some tables, bar stools, and some barrel chairs. Here we go. From the guide season 1. To do paste shape only. Oh yeah. Just like that. We have some fancy chairs. We're also going to bring in our fancy table. Here we go. And then we can give all these a spin. Fix their lighting. These never quite got finished, did they? I wonder how many people were yelling at me years and years ago to fix these tables. Here we go. We now have some barrel chairs outside with cushions that I guess we bring in when it rains or when it's too cold. And yeah, I am pretty happy with our progress. And folks, that is in fact going to be the extent of our progress today. As I mentioned, next episode we are going to get into automating the quern and wind power. And so I'm going to go ahead and get ready for that coming up real soon. But before we end here, let's take one last look at our Cliffside bakery. Oh my goodness. That is cool looking. Now when we finish this up, we are going to remove the dirt scaffolding under there and make a few more changes to the landscape around here just to spruce things up a bit. But I am very happy with this progress, and I hope you're looking forward to learning how to make a windmill and how to automate your quern in the next episode. But folks, that is going to do it for this episode of the Vintage Story Guide. I hope you enjoyed this part 1 of building our bakery here on the Cliffside, and I hope you're looking forward to what comes next. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by leaving a like or a comment in the section below. The names scrolling by belong to the awesome folks who are supporting the channel by signing on as channel members. If you too wanted to see your name in the credits, get early access to videos, and some members-only streams, or you want to hear me butcher your name in the next part, then go check out what's available in channel memberships. The following folks have gone the extra mile to support the channel by signing on at the Seraph tier. Their names are APEC, Chrysanthemum, Dalto124, Elizabeth Woolley, Eric Franzen, Inger Raymond, Joshua Saruda, Linda Harris, Low Polly Katz, Lucky's Mom, Mad Lord Hubris, Operion, Oak Tree, Pepe Patino, Picture, Sergio Alarcon, Servus, Snow Silver, Sue Wallace, Tyluna, and Wade Parker. As always, my name has been Kurzar. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.